Mhm.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today. And today we have day 4 of the Community Builders Summit, and we have NYNKE who will be sharing with us how to honor transition. So NYNKE, I'm gonna give this space to you.
Yes. Well, hey, hi, and great to see you. And I'm kind of glad that it's a small group, because I always kind of dread these spaces where there's 25 faces and I don't know who to look at. So that is actually quite good. Yeah, I'm NYNKE, and I'm a facilitator, and I work with deep conversations. I do storytelling circles. I run transition rituals, and I design rituals. That's what I do. And I work together with Lana on community rituals, in which we design rituals for communities or teams. And so what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes is just do a little check-in so we hear each other's voices. After that, I'm going to invite you to do a small ritual, which is kind of like acting out of the ordinary, but just to get a feel for what that does. I'm going to tell a story about a transition ritual that I used to give in the days I was a youth worker with teenagers. And then we can explore a bit how that actually works with all the phases in it and what it does. Yes, so after that, you're going to chat a little bit about rituals that you might, rituals and transitions that you might have in your own life. And after that, we can share, explore, and then we do a little checkout. Cool. Okay. So since we're just a few people, then it's maybe nice to just let us know who you are. And Karen, if your sound is not working, you can also type in the chat. Just your name and maybe what question you hold around ritual. Yay, and another one is joining. So I'm gonna wait till that person kind of comes in and repeat the questions, and then we can actually do the thing together. Hello, welcome.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I just gave a small introduction, and what we're going to do in the next 40 minutes, which you missed, but you're probably maybe into an adventure. So we were just about to do the check-in, and the question was, what's your name and what questions do you hold around rituals or transition? And whoever is going, oh no, I have to repeat it again, more people. We'll just start.
It's okay. NYNKE, I'll put it in the prompt. In the chat.
Thank you. That will be really helpful. Okay, welcome, Jonathan.
Hi.
Good to see you again. So who is ready to start? Just to say your name and what questions you
my name is Linda, and I'm from Australia, and I live in the Netherlands. And my question about ritual is, it's what is the importance of ritual? Really, what is the importance of ritual? And I want to establish for me why it is important in my life and what things I can do to honor those rituals. There you go. I want to know how to honor the rituals. I like it.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Next one. Lana, will you do the next one?
Yeah, so I'm Lana. I work with NYNKE, so somehow I have a bit of a sense of of what rituals are. Though I have a curiosity around how can we release the weight of transitions through rituals, and also there's more of that release.
Cool. Next, Marisha, Antonia, Jonathan. Antonia?
Yeah, can I go? Thank you. So my name is Antonia. I'm based in Italy, And I'm totally new to rituals. I mean, actually, I was introduced to ritual by Lana, and I was reading a book about it. So, yeah, probably, yeah. What is the best way to start rituals in a company? Maybe that would be my question. Thank you.
That's a good question. Thank you for that. Next.
Yeah, I can go unless somebody else wants to. Yeah, sure. I'm Jonathan
go for it.
From Copenhagen. After being trained by you and Lana on rituals, I'm an expert, of course, after one session. My question to you isn't about transitions. I'm not quite sure what that is actually, but I love your work, so I attended today. But my question is, what does it take to hold a ritual in terms of space? What are the factors that makes it a warm, rich space above and beyond the actual structure? Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful.
I'm Risha. I'm joining from Berlin, Germany. And I think my question is, how can we actually really create rituals? Because I always feel like establishing something, but then it's really difficult to sustain it on a long term and really make it meaningful. And at the same time, not forcing it into it. So,
Yeah, great. Thank you for this. So just to kind of, because words mean something different to everyone. So I thought that it's nice to state what we see as a ritual and what we mean by transition first, so we all have like the same kind of context around it. So the transition, by transition, I always say it's the process or period of changing from one state to the other. It's just like to get from one space or phase in your life to the next one. So there's the before, there's the middle, and the after. So that is what transition in this sense in this session will mean. And a ritual is actually a sequence of actions infused with meaning. And in a ritual, we make a set of actions in our behavior that are about a specific thing. So you don't, if you do a ritual on one thing, you don't do it on 6 things together, but you kind of, it's focused. And that has meaning, because that's you load it with meaning because it has to mean something to you. And the other element that is really important, that we do it with our bodies and we enact in it. So these are the things, the kind of small elements, and I can, we can talk for an hour about what a ritual is, but this is the shortcut in just like to have it a little bit in the same sense in our heads. Okay. Jonathan actually did this little ritual, and I'm gonna take you through it because I find it hard to talk about rituals in theory without actually experiencing what it actually does. So we're gonna make a little transition ritual. And for that, you're just gonna sit back and relax a little bit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick an object from our desk, and don't take your pen because you might wanna write something down, but and we're gonna take that out of the room in a bit, and I'm gonna lead you through the ritual with my voice. And then we're gonna step out of the room, cross the threshold, and come back in. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna ask you to do is sit back, relax on your chair and put your feet on the ground, and just kind of sense your body a little bit. It's like, where's your breathing? How are your feet doing? And take a deep breath. And kind of sense in yourself what's keeping you from being fully present. We all have our distractions during the day, and there's always things kind of nagging in your head that you don't want to be involved with in the session, but you want to kind of leave them outside. So what we're going to do is really kind of focus on these things, the things that are keeping you from being fully present. You're going to take that object and put your mind or your attention to the object and kind of infuse it with all the things you don't want to be bothered with in this session. And then we're going to stand up. We're going to take it outside of the room you're in. And if it's impossible to go outside the room, imagine a line that you're going to step over. So we're going to walk out of the room and leave our distraction outside, stand before the threshold to come in, and then focus on how we actually want to be here. Yes? Okay, and then we're going to breathe and step over the threshold. Okay. Okay. You might notice you feel a little bit different. I am. I'm more focused and more relaxed. Thank you. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story. And it is a transition ritual that I used to do when I was working with teenagers. And I think it's wise to tell a story because then you kind of feel this, get a sense of how a ritual can look like. And also we can unpack after that what phases we see and what steps they're in a transition ritual. So I used to be a group leader for kids. And it was a group 10 to 14-year-olds. And every year we would get a new set of kids that got to be the age of 10 and they had to become part of the group, which in teenage land is kind of difficult because it's always like the elder ones that kind of don't want the small kids having around. And it was really hard to kind of make that into one whole. So what we came up with after a few rounds in a year that didn't work, we made a ritual. So every year we had a summer camp. And during that camp, which is before or in the end of the summer holidays, and it was also the period that in the next school year, the new kids would be part of our group every day. So before that moment, we used to go on a camping trip. And the first thing we would do is have them bike 50 kilometers to the place that we were going to be camping, which is actually really part of that process of leaving and, you know, becoming, going to a different environment to be something different. So that is, in essence, a thing that transition needs. And the first night, they would all be loud and insecure and running around. So there had to be like a special moment that kind of made them feel part of the group. So what we would do is we had this beautiful story about the magic fire. And the magic fire was always made by the eldest kids in the group. So they would make a campfire with us, with the group leaders, to enable the younger kids to join the group by jumping over the fire. So the first thing we did is like, you know, we waited till it got dark so it would feel a little bit of extra special. We would load it a little bit with mystery. And we had a beautiful story that although you smell really nice when you come from the younger group, it is not the smell of the older group. And then we would make like a whole lot of smoke in that fire, put leaves in it, and to make it also a bit safer to actually jump over the fire and not burn their feet. And we would, before that, we would say like, oh yeah, you used to be this, and that was wonderful, but it's time to let that smell go and jump through the smoke to become part of the new group. So that is, so one by one, they would just be helped over the fire, and they would be cheered on by the group that was already there. So on the one hand, we had the younger kids, they jumped over the fire and were received on the other end by the elder kids, which was quite important. They also got a little bracelet. And that bracelet had meaning, because then if you had that bracelet, and you could only get the bracelet when you jumped over the fire, and then you were part of the whole group. And that bracelet stood for being together and always helping each other out, making sure everybody was welcomed and would be able to feel good. So that was our ritual. So in this story, what you can see is that there is a clear before and a middle and an after. So if we unpack that, then you have the phases of a transition ritual. And maybe Lani can put them in, if you can. They're in the doc I sent you, so you can read, and I'll go through it. Yeah. Gonna see, there's the stepping in. So in a ritual, and that also addresses a bit of your question, Jonathan, you always make space for a ritual. And a ritual space is kind of the place where you kind of are allowed to act out of the ordinary. We don't jump over fires every day, right? So you need to like create a space. And in this case, it was the fire and the story that kind of created that area or magic space where you can actually do the changing. So that is one thing. And there's a clear start. It's like the jump over the fire, and the lighting. First, maybe the lighting of the fire was the start of that ritual, so that it was there and then you can jump over it. And every transition needs a space for letting go. If you don't let go of whatever it is that is in this phase, like, you know, it's like the kids had to let go of their previous state of being in the younger group, then only then you can make space for the next phase. So there's always first a period of letting go, just as we let go of our distractions first to be able to come in with our intentions. Yes? Oh, and I love questions, so don't be shy to ask me anything. Yeah. Okay, then there's like this middle period. You're either not the old and you're also not the new, and there's this empty middle moment when you're neither. So that is also a thing that is in a transition ritual, that there is, I guess I would say, like between the jumping and the landing, there's that middle space where you're neither the younger one or the older one. Yes? I'm doing good. Okay, then there's a period of envisioning what is next. So you have to like kind of connect to what is next and what is your next space or phase you're going to be in. And in the ritual I was telling you about in the how do I say this right? Yeah, we would always we would use the storytelling for this, I guess, to be the meaning of the bracelet is actually the way we would like them to behave in the next phase. So that was what did that part. And in the small thing we did, it's the connecting with how you want to be in the session again. So that is the connection to the next phase. Yeah, you kind of envision, oh, what is next? What would that look like? And how do I want to be in that? And then there's the threshold. Then there's the action that makes you step over to the next phase. So that is a bit about a transition ritual. And please ask away if you have any questions. And I'm going to get your questions, actually. That is nice. So around the importance of rituals, if I would answer that, I would say rituals make not only our minds shift, but our whole being. So it's not like it's 12 and the clock says it's 12, so I'm supposed to be on a break. But when you do it with a ritual, you actually, your whole body and your system knows it's like, oh, this is the time where I'm at. Yeah. And marking transitions together, I think, creates a lot of cohesion. You're in this experience together, and everybody knows in that ritual who's where and where we are at. So after the ritual, my group would really change. It's like they would be one, and all the fights would kind of, solve in an instant, because nobody felt left out anymore, because it was totally clear by the action of jumping over the fire and getting the bracelets that nobody was left out. So that is also the importance, I think, of rituals. And I think rituals are also moments where you can build culture, where you kind of elevate the things you care about in these special moments to bring your attention to them and enact them. Okay. So what I would like us to do, and I think we're going to do it together because we're not such a big group, is to ask you, where do you see these moments of transition for yourself in your life? It's like, where are the moments that you feel like, oh, this is kind of a transition? And they can be small ones, like the start of a day, but it can also be big ones, like big life transitions. So or work, team transitions, maybe there's moments in that. So I'd love to hear some of your transitional moments that you think could be marked or celebrated with a ritual.
I can start.
Yes, please.
I'm working in an organization where we have a big transition process. In that sense, or let's rather call it organizational development process in this context. And we're slowly getting to a point where we're gonna have a new organization born from another organization, and at the same time we're keeping the same team. So I think we need some ritual to really mentally become something different, because otherwise we're stuck in the old. So to be really fresh and in that new organization and leave something behind.
That's a good one, a special one, a birth of something new. Yeah, thank you.
And not just a birth, but it's also the leaving behind of previous culture, right? So it's very interesting phase.
Yes. Someone else has an example of a transition that you think could be marked.
I have a small transition that keeps coming to mind, and that's the transition from, at the end of the day, finishing work and moving into your home space.
Yeah.
And why that's so important with the people that you live with. And it's something that I think is really important to do, to do that.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, especially now we're working from home. Sometimes that gets really complicated and our day just kind of feels like one big thing, and there are no moments that something feels finished and done and the next thing will start, and ritual is really helpful with that, definitely.
I have a question, and quite aligned to Linda's comments. I think that's a really big transition, actually. I know what you mean. It's quite a personal transition, not the big organizational structure or merger and acquisition type of setup. In my community that I'm launching, I'm going to be bringing in relational practices over the course of the day. So time to relate to each other and call out reality that can always get, swept under the carpet in the workplace. I'm curious to know about the transition between a relational practice like ritual and getting back to work. So I've hit a good space where relating. We all know that workplaces on the whole don't have spaces for relational activity. So this is quite new. Dedicate an hour to yourself a day, every day, in your contract as well, and as part of the culture of the organization. But transitioning from a warm, soft space to your desk. Is there any advice you have on how you can transition in the day from time to yourself to time doing the do?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful, it's all beautiful examples of how transitional moments are everywhere in our lives. And only when we notice them, you can make them conscious, and then you can help yourself move through them by a ritual. And a ritual can be really small. It can also, what I sometimes do, also relating to your question, is like, sometimes I have problems because I work from home, and then I'm writing an article, and then I do laundry, and then I have a Zoom call, and then I'm kind of lost because I don't know. It's like there's still the laundry and there's the desk, but it's also my family space, and I get confused. So what I sometimes do when I feel that is that I light a candle before I sit down, and when I'm back at my desk, because that kind of helps me focus my energy. It's like, okay, I'm going to light this candle. I'm going to be here now doing this. So that is like a kind of moment I create. And I think with your workspace, it's really hard to get people from desk to relationship and back to desk. So you have to you have two switching moments, right? From work to relation and from relation to work. So
for me, what I'm thinking is usually it's like I'm working.
Yeah.
I walk to the kitchen, I have a relational moment. And then when I have my cup of tea or coffee, that is the moment where it's like, okay, now I sit back at my work and I put my cup down, and then I'm focused again. So I don't know, I'm trying to think of something similar that you can do in that environment, something that you can tangibly hold or take.
Yeah.
And if your work environment's open to it, I don't know, like squeegee balls or something. I don't know. You're the ritual person, but that's something that I don't know that I was thinking.
Yeah, our senses can, thinking about senses can really help. If you can create, when there's always, you have a special mug for coffee, and that's relationship time. And when you take the mug, it's there. These are kind of really small things you can use to enhance that feeling of we're doing a different thing in a different space. You can also make a designated space, like it can be a carpet or, with pillows that are, it's like when we're there, we do that. And you can help people by prompting. It's like, okay, we're going to switch. So whatever it is you're doing and what you need to finish, leave it actively behind.
Yeah.
And
giving people permission
and also actively step on the carpet or in that space where we do the different thing. And when it's finished, it's the other way around. You can put your mug of coffee in a way on the counter and say, okay, when I put down my mug of coffee, that is gone. And you just kind of have to enhance that feelings and give that meaning in order to make it into a nice ritual. Does that help, Jonathan?
Yeah, it does. I like the idea of a mug.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It seems like quite simplistic. Not that it's but those are the. But I like the I like the idea of a mug. I also think something like time. Transitions of allowing employees to go home peacefully. Yeah. So having a ritual before you go home.
Yeah.
So everyone can leave the office
Would love that. Yeah.
That seems like a nice. So timing is
Yeah.
one of the factors here when we do the ritual.
Yeah, and it's not always timing of the clock, but timing of rhythm. Because I do this with my son. My son has trouble getting to sleep, so I have a finishing the day ritual with him that actually, since I do that, he falls asleep really nicely. Okay. But it's not that it's supposed to be at 8, but it's like, the ritual actually makes the ending of the day, and can be 9, it can be 10, it can be 7, but that kind of structures his brain to be able to fall asleep, because then the day is finished. So it's more the moment and the rhythm than just clock time. So
sure,
I don't know, it's a different thing, right?
Oh, great advice.
It's not always clock time. It's our sense of what's it called, kairos versus chronos. It is. Yeah. That's it. Anyone else wants to share a transitional moment that is alive?
I can share. I've supported Stephen Dargan. He is a consultant on happiness at work, and we were discussing about how to transition from working from home to working in an office. So in designing this ritual for his session, what I suggested was because he was doing this for one small organization, and the idea was for them to bring in an object that represent themselves, what they're bringing in the office that they can leave, so you don't so they had a session where everybody was in a circle. They presented the object, and I've also asked Stephen to prepare a big container, a vessel, and everybody, after sharing their artifact, put in themselves back in the office in that vessel. And everyone took turns, and that vessel is now in the reception area. So everybody who comes in sees the the artifact, and he said it was so powerful because some brought in like, oh, these are the shoes of my my baby, that because these people haven't seen each other for 18 months because they worked from home. So someone brought in like the shoes of their baby, and like, oh, when pandemic started, this is the shoe of my child, and now she's this big now, so it was really a marking point of what they've been through.
Yes.
And also the honoring of, okay, now we're bringing ourselves back into the office. So it was just, Stephen was sharing how powerful it was for the group to experience that transitioning to the office ritual.
Yeah, beautiful. That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. It's consciously taking what you are or what used to be at home to bring that back in.
Yeah.
And to be part of the building and the organization again. Yes.
To me, a ritual is like as you described, it's also potentially a home for an emotion that isn't housed.
Yes.
In many ways. For example, there's so much stuff that happens in the day that we brush under the carpet. You lose a project. So for losing projects, or for or joining a new team, leaving a team,
definitely.
I'm trying to think of the more like emotional stuff that we don't have a space for in the day, and having a ritual for those things, losing stuff, celebrating, not completing stuff in time, screwing up.
Yeah, what you actually do with a ritual is that you make a space outside of normality to house things that are usually, under the surface or unspoken of, or don't have a place to go. So that is definitely, I like that. Definitely works. You're getting loads of new ideas. I see that in your eyes. Beautiful. Okay. So if you kind of see the phases in it, can you, when you speak about the transition rituals you just shared, do you see like the kind of steps in that ritual? For instance, Marisha, your team, how would that look like if you would make a ritual for it, like to step in, to let go, to be in the middle a bit, to envision what is next, and to cross the threshold into the next phase? Do you see these phases in your situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something which, yeah, we keep with us in a certain way, but there's also something which we leave behind. And then something we're going towards to once we transition. So they're the different elements of the past and the future.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Marisha? Are you happy with the change? Is everyone happy with it?
Let's say I would feel more comfortable sharing, but we're getting recorded, so I don't want to go into detail.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah, if it's private, it's private. Don't share anything that you don't want to be shared.
I was just thinking maybe a ritual goes into that part of it. We're not happy. And you do a private ritual somewhere. Not that you aren't. I know you're very happy about it.
I think there's also, NYNKE, the I like this distinction that it doesn't have to be big milestones in life.
No.
For us to think of, okay, how can this, how can we invite more rituals in?
Definitely. Yeah. There's the start of the week, there's like the end of your day. For me, the weekend is also always a thing. I always have fights like with my husband the first night because we didn't really start the weekend. There's no thing yet. So definitely there's small things and big things. And that also connects to the kind of ritual you make. So if it's like you can't do a whole huge impactful, really long ritual to start your day, that these are small ones. So if they're repetitive and if you do them often, then the intensity should be a little bit lower, because it's different than something huge as onboarding a new person. That's an experience we don't have every week. So at least not for the person who's joining, but so there's a difference in that. There's a distinction, but the day is filled with small transitional moments that you can kind of mark and have yourself release some tension around shifting. I think that works really well. Yes. So that is also, I think, a function of ritual. For me, it kind of gives space to changes, and it gives rhythms that are really helpful. And that kind of eases your system, I think. And I think Mika said, it's like, I want to know how I can make a day without that is not just one big porridge of things, I want to have like breathing moments. So that small rituals that you do daily can be like your breathing moments through the day. And then there's huge ones. I'm making a new one for my kid who wants to be big. So I'm going to help him transition to something that more responsible and with more freedom and things that he is allowed to do on his own. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, I see the time. It's only 3 minutes left. Okay.
I just want to mark what you said, though, NYNKE, about the importance of varying intensity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. Thank you. So now there's something else waiting for you, right? So we have another transition from being in this space to going to something else. Well, we have to kind of make that a moment as well, I think. Okay, I prepared something. Is that okay? You're going to do it with me? We're going to act funny again. Okay. So just put your feet on the floor, and maybe there's still questions in your head and ideas that kind of generated by talking to each other and seeing each other and getting to know transitions and getting to know rituals. And I would like you to kind of sense that going on in your brain, and also where that is going on in your body. Maybe something got stirred. And then just let yourself feel that a little, and see if there's a spot in your body that really got stirred by all the conversations and this session. And I would like to invite you to put a hand on that part of your body. So when you move on into your day, when you touch that place in your body, it might come back to you. Okay. I would really like to thank you all for being here and to do this with me. And I hope you have more community builder sessions coming up that might enrich you and enlighten you. And yeah, you can find us at communityrituals.com, and you can get in touch through Lana. And I hope to see you again, and have fun exploring rituals.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nika.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye
Meet you all. Have a
bye.
good day.
Ciao,
See you in the other sessions.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.